Let's start by talking about HMS Diamond has been in action in the last 24 hours. Can you tell us a little bit about what she has been up to?
She has. She's been down at the southern Red Sea for some time now on a sort of missile picket duty. So she's been sitting there in a patrol box, waiting to intercept drones, which she's already done successfully a number of times, and now a missile in order to protect freedom of navigation down there from the Houthi rebels in western Yemen. And Diamond has done it successfully last night for the first time since 1991, a missile-on-missile engagement.
And of course, this will be something that your former colleagues and shipmates in the Royal Navy train for all the time. But you rightly say, first time since the very early 1990s that we've done this. Is this quite a bold statement to hostile actors around the world about Britain's capabilities and our readiness to use them?
Well, I'm not sure that it is. I think one of the problems with our posture in the Red Sea is it's entirely defensive. Barring the odd strike, I don't mean to sort of diminish them too much, but really it has been the odd counter-strike. The rest of the time we've been playing permanent goalkeeper. So if you look at freedom of navigation in the Red Sea, it is denied. Ships are at 50% flowing through there. So a small militia in Western Yemen has denied a critical choke point freedom of navigation. So on the one hand, I think probably what this engagement shows is you can win the battle while still losing the war.
And do you think there's something the British Royal Navy and the British Armed Forces should be doing? Should we be going further? Should we engaging the rebels directly in order to keep those navigation routes open?
Something there has to change. I mean, fundamentally, the Houthis need to stop firing. That's only ever been the solution to this. And there's three ways that can happen. They can decide to stop, be that through a ceasefire in Gaza, or whether they've always promised that. I mean, I have my doubts, but they decide to stop, or they're persuaded to stop. That's the most likely option, either through diplomacy or by Iran, or they're made to stop, where they're struck so hard that they physically can't fire back. And that's an option that's available, but we've elected not to take for fear of escalation.
But of course, it wouldn't just be the UK who did that alone. It would be with our wider allies in the region. Do you think it's likely that America will look to make one of those sort of decisive strikes against the rebels?
I don't. They've had opportunity after opportunity for the last 4 or 5 months and have elected not to do so. I mean, let's be clear, if we are to take decisive action there, it has to be US-led. When you look in the UK offensive cupboard for land strike options in the Red Sea, it's pretty bare. We've chipped in with Typhoons, long-range sorties from Cyprus. Again, I don't mean to belittle that, but it's not sustainable. So if we're to really give them a bloody nose, then it would have to be the Americans. But I'm not sure it's a particularly good idea. They're very hard to strike. They're very mobile. They hide in populous centers. They've learned all these tricks about mobility from Iran. So counter-striking to the point where they can't fire back, as the Saudis proved over 5 or 6 years, is very, very hard to do.
I suppose it also, this week we've heard from the Prime Minister, the government's commitment to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2030, an additional £76 billion in total. And we learned today that one of the things the United Kingdom is considering in terms of our own air defences is this idea of an Iron Dome, particularly to protect us from ultrasonic missiles. What is an Iron Dome and what would it sort of mean to Britain to have one?
So Iron Dome is a medium-range surface-to-air missile, defence missile. So it sits, obviously, it sits in Israel. It's got a range of about 40 kilometres, so it's not particularly long. It's about half the range of the missile that Diamond used, for example. So it is only one part of the solution, and I think it's really important to step back when we talk about some missile defence in the UK and look at the layers. We are a very different proposition to Israel and perhaps even Ukraine in terms of the range at which potential aggressors could come at us. So we have these layers in place already. Short of Russia, let's say, parking a submarine off the coast where it could do tremendous damage. But, you know, that's a very different warfighting situation at that point. So I think what I would like to see is a really comprehensive plan that identifies this requirement and then a funding plan to buy it. But frankly, whilst the Prime Minister's announcement is very, very welcome, we've heard these many, many times and not seen the money at the end of it. If we do see that money, if this is a genuine mindset shift, and I really hope it is, then I would personally spend that money on many, many things before we got to an Iron Dome system in the UK.